There are a lot of podcasters these days, but you know what? If you get pulled over by the police, you might not want to attempt to say that you're a YouTuber as a defense.
How many followers does it take to get out of a ticket? I'm Lainey Law.
And I'm attorney Andrew Myers.
And, something tells me that the amount of subscribers you have on YouTube doesn't really play a big part in court.
No, if you're stopped by the police on an interstate highway, traveling 100 miles an hour or 90 miles an hour, and they pull you over, I don't think that telling them you're a big-time YouTuber is going to be much of a defense, really, do you?
I mean, I haven't tried it personally, but our commenters like us. Surely that means that the cops are going to like us too, right?
Yeah, you don't tell the cops, do you know who I am? And then you're a YouTuber. It might work for some big-time political people, and we're not mentioning any names, but yeah, our commenters have been good to us and bad to us, and so we have a bunch of great comments this week, some about the Karen Reed case and some about the Kohberger case and the new, the crazy selfie that came out. And one of our commenters has a really good idea about what happens to Kohberger in a jury. Do you want to start out?
Yeah, so Jason Ellis, 9777. This judge is much too personally involved and offended by the defense and seemingly everything they do, making the defense stand while she reprimanded them, passing everything the state issues without a question, while the defense has the plea and explain every motion. It's like she's part of the prosecution. She was so offended by the defense in the last trial and is clearly biased against them to the point that she argues the state's case like she is a part of the team. She is embarrassing the state, in my opinion, and not only in their opinion. Let's emphasize this is a comment. If we're just reading our commenters' opinions, but this has been a recurring issue with this case where certain things like Judge Canoni saying like, oh, would you want to strike that? Like helping out Attorney Brennan and just seemingly being unfair towards the defense. One of the grave concern for those of you who've been watching our channel for a while and saw the episode where we discussed that. And then she was gravely concerned about the communications that the defense had with the ARCA experts and the payments and all of that. And then after she went away on break and came back, that was when the prosecution's like, oh, whoopsie, like, you're right, the defense did tell us that. That wasn't the federal court telling us that. So just I got
to share something that one of the commenters said that didn't make the cut. You know how I always try and tell people that the former reporter in me wants to remain as objective as possible. And I've said that several times in being critical of the way this case is being handled and saying I'm trying to remain as objective as possible. One of our commenters said, you don't have to say that because we can tell, comparing you to some of the other people that are covering this case, we can tell you're trying to be objective, but in being objective, the way the case is being handled and the bias is just really obvious. So I didn't put that one in the final cut, but number 9 did make the cut. And there's our friendly Chloe the dog. Lulu Kelly Frosty said, you guys are very informative, inspiring, and fair-minded. Integrity one can believe in. Thank you. A former Massachusetts resident, now in Louisiana. So I like that one.
Yeah, I like the inspiring too, because ultimately, I was watching other channels. That is what got us here. And we hope that, we encourage people to speak their minds and talk freely about what they think. Oh gosh. Bite my bits. Lainey!
No, it's good. They're not mad at you.
I thought it has been long since established that the digital evidence, if there is no meta, it is not real, should never be seen in a courtroom and certainly not by jury. Otherwise, legal teams might as well act out on full baseless scripted scenes because we have entered a realm called fantasy. And I think that, unfortunately, too, I mean, I'm not going to say it's been since established, because every single court is different, and how much each court changes from one to another actually kind of blows my mind, because we've had Bettero talking about like the New York City court system versus other court systems in Massachusetts. And so there is, from my understanding, no set standard. However, in this age where AI is becoming increasingly common, it is definitely essential that we have the original files and we have the original metadata, because we are now entering an age where people are just going to be making up whatever they want. And one of the, what hopefully becomes regulations, and what some people who are watching this video may have seen on Instagram, sometimes if you're scrolling on Instagram now, there's like a thing that says may contain AI whatever, because the metadata, when you use like Photoshop or something, if it uses AI, now is being recorded into that file itself. So metadata is increasingly becoming more important, and this is going to be a huge issue in like 5 years, if not now.
Well, even I mean, I've been in the law now for 30 years, and before that I was in broadcast journalism. And even I know that, it's very simple to go down and see the metadata. I mean, I've been an amateur photographer for years. I've taken commercial photography classes, and my point is, I am nowhere near an expert in this stuff, but even I know when I'm scrolling through my old photographs 10, 15 years ago, and I forget exactly the date, even I can go down and find the metadata. It's that simple. And in my humble opinion, no video should go in at all in trial 2, unless and until the original security video from Canton Police Department is located, the original and or a full and complete duplicate with no one jumping around and nothing backwards, with the little time strip, different colors. I don't think one scrap, one frame, one bit or byte of video should be allowed in trial 2 unless they get to the bottom of this issue, which has not been solved. They have not solved the issue of where is the original located, why hasn't it been submitted, even though the Commonwealth has certified that they did their discovery. Why haven't they been called on the carpet? And do you understand? I mean, all right, let's go.
I agree with you. It's just like, submit the full long video, and then if you want to cut that video and put the highlights, do that separately.
I've never had a judge go like this to me. I've never had a judge go like this to me. And as you know, I don't have a lot of patience, so I don't know what I do. If it
bite that finger off.
And before we take that too much further, we will go to number 7, and ZBRU fan. I don't know what that means, but when Mr. Dishonorably Discharged Proctor said he didn't deny the texts were sent, but it didn't affect his work in the case, it doesn't matter. The appearance of bias is enough to say there is bias. I agree with that totally. The appearance of bias is enough to say that there is bias. His supporters, some of whom received the text, should have reassigned the case right then. And if they had done that, by the way, if he had been reassigned right away immediately, maybe we wouldn't see all the problems that we've seen. Although the solo cups, as you see in the upper left-hand corner, they were employed right away, and the Stop and Shop bags were employed right away. So, this investigation was off to a shaky start before Mr. Proctor put his fingers on it. So
I don't even remember who was the supervisor that he was sending
Buchanan.
The text.
Well, Buchanan and Lally were in on it. And Buchanan is his superior.
The one who was receiving the text about the finding the nudes, he needs to be also booted out. Just kick them all out. Start over. Find new cops. It's fine.
and Proctor's wife said, "Oh, well, it just shows he's human." Yeah, okay.
I'd be humanly M-wording my partner if I saw that on their phone.
This is our question for our viewers today, to all the women, to all the married women. If you found out your husband is out there looking for nudes of someone else on their phone, how would you react? Okay, number 6, your turn.
Now that I'm all heated, Carrie Sullivan, 6294. Are the foreign countries of Arkansas and Massachusetts watching this trial? The
Ha
foreign
ha ha.
countries.
Yeah, well, Massachusetts is still part of the United States, although sometimes you've got to wonder. And Arkansas is pretty much landlocked, so I just thought that was a pretty picture of the harbor, pretty picture of Boston Harbor. Now, again, we have 52 nations that are watching our coverage. We are a small channel. We only have 14,000 viewers right now. We're going for 20, so help. All right, I'll stop begging. But these are the countries from whom we have received comments. And some of them multiple times, like I've said before, New Zealand and Australia, of course, England, Scotland, the Irelands, and Wales. So people all over the world, though, are watching us. And if you are from one of the countries that is not on the list, let us know. So now we go right into the Kohberger comments, and the comments on the new selfie I thought were kind of interesting. This is from Larry. Oh, no, Larisha. I looked at this before, and it's Larisha Harris. I'm sorry, Larisha. You're not Larry. I appreciate your opinions. You're allowed to have one, especially on your channel. This case is just crazy, especially all related to Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk. I can't make sense of any of it, maybe in trial, possibly. Don't find them to be credible or an important part of the trial. They were drunk, clearly, or could be dreaming. Clearly, no frozen shock phase, and we've said that a number of times. The commenters can come for me if they want to. No, we won't. I now miss my thicker eyebrows. I had them waxed in the past by different people and have been trying to grow them back for years. LOL. Sorry, this bushy eyebrow talk is driving me over the edge. And I actually went, you can just click on it. And I went to Larisha Harris's page, and she had sunglasses on, big sunglasses, so you couldn't see her eyebrows. So poor Larisha is sad that she chopped her eyebrows. But that's the thing for women, isn't it? That they like to chop their eyebrows or whatever they do. They trim them.
As a child, I distinctly remember my grandmother saying, when you grow up, don't follow the fashion trends. Your thick eyebrows are beautiful. Never do anything to them. I used to shave them off when I was younger and draw them back on. And now I regret it because I don't have eyebrows. So then I grew up to be a teenager who would shave off my eyebrows and drop them back on. I have makeup on right now, but as a beautician, as a licensed cosmetologist, among all my other things that I know and do, one of the things that I will say is that the beauty industry is at least getting better in the sense that now there's some stuff you can do. There's a product called Scoro Brow for anyone interested in trying that out. I found benefited my eyebrows, and I recommend to my clients. There's also what's it called? Jojoba oil and castor oil are known to declog pores, and actually minoxidil, I believe, is one of the ingredients. So there's Bosley, I think, contains an ingredient that's actually clinically proven to regrow hair, although I don't think you should use that on your face. But the science is there now. Have your bushy eyebrows, have your long, thick hair. You don't have to go bald anymore. Thank you, science and chemistry.
So I don't understand. I really don't understand. Why would somebody shave their eyebrows off only to then pencil them back on? I've never understood that.
My eyebrows are down here. What if I want eyebrows that are up here, Andrew? What if?
Why?
What if I want my eyebrows to be pink that day?
I will never understand these things. I will never.
This day. No, we love the 1920s. Think of the 1920s. Think of the flappers with the
I'm not that old. I'm old, but I'm not that old.
We love old media. Oh.
This is not a beauty channel, so let's move on to number 4.
Comment if you want this to become a strictly beauty channel. Forever in my head says, anyone who regularly takes selfie would know that lighting, camera angles, and position of your face can make any beautiful person look hideous or a sane person insane. That's why young kids take tons of them and delete them. I put 0 weight on the selfie and think this is a benign photo that should be excluded from evidence, lest we get a photographic expert next to start commenting on such nonsense at trial. The photos mean zilch. And I honestly, I feel that so hardcore because I'm gonna be honest, and I don't know what's happening with the photo, and like I was saying, it'd be really disturbing if he was the perpetrator for these murders and then the selfie happened after and he's smiling. That is very disturbing. But as far as like what a selfie looks like, we live in an age where you're so used to seeing like Instagram models and like Sports Illustrated and all these perfect people and stuff like that. It's just like this is also someone that like apparently used to struggle with like addiction, depression, and like used to be overweight. So I can understand wanting to take a selfie, feeling good one day. Please, hopefully not after a quadruple homicide. That's really freaky to think about. But I agree that like it's so easy to take an unflattering picture, and every day Andrew and I come on here and have unflattering angles and unflattering lighting and a million things that could go wrong in a picture.
Well, no, I've actually seen good photographers work, and it's true. A good photographer can do miracle work, and they'll take a ton of pictures, and they'll show you the ton of pictures, and you can see how little nuances, lighting, angle, whether the camera's up and looking down or down and looking up, which lens they're using. I mean, they can use a small lens and go close and give you fish eyes, or they can go back and use another lens. Obviously, I'm no expert, but I know enough to know that having worked with professional photographers, they can do a lot. That's question number one. Question number two, how do we really even know this is a real selfie with AI and Photoshop and everything else? How do we know? I want to see the metadata.
Show me the metadata.
Really? I mean,
that's the new slogan for the channel is show me the metadata.
I don't know. So I agree with what this person is saying. It's kind of like those old Rorschach tests that I don't know if the psychologists still use it, but the little colored numbers, the little colored dots, the little dot splatters that they show, and you show the Rorschach test patterns to 10 different people, and they will come up with 10 different interpretations. One person might see a lobster. The next person might see a snake. The next person might see a lion. And then the psychologists put it all together and say, oh, you have this, that, or the other. This is exactly the same. This photograph of Mr. Kohberger is exactly the same. You show it to 12 jurors, and the 12 of them might see 12 different things. So I don't know. I'm happy.
It's so disturbing.
I think I'm happy that they're finally releasing new information on the case, but I mean, we've all been programmed wrongly to think this is a creepy guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've many times said I will defend his right to the presumption of innocence until the end. You cannot tell anything from this photograph, because I guarantee you show it to 5 people out on the street and they'll say 5 different things. He's creepy. Oh, well, he was in bad lighting. Oh, well, I don't know. As if we haven't talked about this selfie enough, we go from 4 to 3. If Lucy Murphy now says, if the photo of BK was posted with the description, PhD student takes selfie, most comments would be, he looks pale, he's thin, or oh, he just had a shower. But this photo has been posted as a killer the morning after. So that is what the majority of people will see. Steve Gonsalves even said he's very pleased with himself. He's challenging Idaho. I see a tall, pale student. See, that makes my point. It depends on the presentation.
I love the pale. Sorry, no, it's shade. It's just like people's interpretation of it is like, damn.
Well, you do our thumbnails and you do a very good job, but you know that when you put a photo up on the screen, there's all different filters that you can put in front of the picture. So how do we know this is what he looked like that day? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't.
It's just, and even it's like a bathroom. It's like, what bathroom have you gone into that really has good lighting? A lot of the time I go into the bathroom, I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, I look cute. Let me take a picture. And then I look at the picture and I'm like, oh, like,
yeah.
But yeah, comment from Jason Ellis. Again, thank you, Jason Ellis, for being a frequent commenter. I think he was involved but did not do this alone. They may want you to think he was a criminal mastermind that didn't get any DNA, blood, or even a dog hair in his car after committing these grisly murders. But then think he's a dummy that ordered the MW on Amazon to his house, which is it. Yeah, it said he wasn't alone. It may not have thought the K would be tied to him because someone else was with him. Hence his question when arrested, did you arrest anyone else? I just don't think someone can be smart and stupid at the same time. There seems to be something missing. I think it's an accomplice. And that has been, out of all of our comments on this channel, as long as we've been covering this case, this is one of the most reoccurring comments, is that people keep saying, like, it can't be possible for someone to do this alone.
Yeah, no, I don't agree. And this is a good point also, that he's either so smart or he's a dummy. Which is it? You can't, I don't know.
And so you can, the thing is, it's just like, to not get any blood or DNA anywhere, but then to also not even have a concrete alibi. Anything is just like, and then the reasoning that people will provide against that is that if you're in the state of mind to want to do this type of thing, you're not in the state of mind to fully think everything out. And this is another way to show that we're not saying one way or another. We're just reading these comments. So even though we're sitting here talking about how the picture, like like we're also still sharing the opinions of people saying that he did do it and that there was somebody else.
Well, BTK planned everything out very meticulously, and Kohberger's professor back in Pennsylvania actually, wrote a book and talked to BTK many times. So Kohberger certainly was aware of BTK, and even though BTK got away with it for years and years and years and years and years, and even though he meticulously planned out all the details, things went wrong frequently. He thought that only one person would be home, and he went in there and there were two kids also. So, you can't plan this kind of stuff. It's not like, redoing your bathroom, you plan everything out, the tile and the rug and, all that stuff. So enough said about that one. I thought these two were really interesting, and I put them together for you to read.
This is from Boondog. I'm assuming that's supposed to be Jet. But the jury understands this is all she saw, and they are smart enough to know what BK's DNA is on the sheath to the knife we know he purchased. And then Ever in my head said, having been on jury, I can tell you that people see the same info in very different lights and come to their own unique understandings. It only takes one stubborn holdout, one contrarian, one person with a large ego, one person who holds fast to their convictions. It ain't over till the fat lady sings, and no one knows what the jurors do. And I think something that we talk about a lot and that is important to remember is that for criminal, it's beyond there's no doubt in it. So if there's any doubt at all, and that person is able to hold to their convictions and they do question it, and maybe I'm just the victim of like perpetual gaslighting. I never put me on a jury because you could lie to my face and then try to convince me otherwise, and I'll try to reason. And I'll be like, yeah, like I guess I get it. Like it's like I'm someone who always wants to see the other perspective. And so with criminal court in particular, it's going to be very hard to convince a whole jury beyond any doubt.
Reasonable doubt, not beyond any doubt.
Being wrong, beyond any reasonable doubt that that this is the person. Because like also you got to keep in mind too that he's going to be faced with the death penalty. What if the juror, and this is all about jury selection, but what if the juror like already decided that they hate the death penalty and that nobody deserves the death penalty? All these all these people who feel really strongly, that's going to be such a pain in the butt to sort out this jury.
You know what? And we lawyers spend a lot of time in the voir dire of the jury. We ask a lot of questions. Several months ago, if not longer than that, we talked about a motion that had been brought in the Kohberger case to avoid the magic question. And we talked to an attorney out in Washington State about, how they pick juries out in Idaho. And I don't care. You can spend hours, if not days, if not weeks, selecting a jury. You don't know those people. You don't know those people, what they really think inside. I mean, yeah, you find out what their background is. Have you ever had a criminal record? Is there a member of your family that's part of law enforcement? Have you ever had any involvement with the courts before? And on and on and on, many other questions. You don't know that person. You have no idea. They might be a person that, all their friends have committed crimes. And
It's like, how often? I mean,
don't know.
Yeah, when so many people get married and then years later find out their partner isn't who they thought they were at all. I knew someone who got married to someone. They lived together for like a year or two before that. After they're married, she finds out she took all the money out of their joint bank account, spent it all, and was just staying home when he said he was going to work.
Nice.
You never know.
Yeah, and that proves the point that, these jurors, you just don't know these people. And also, there might be people with valid, legitimate arguments, and the people that have the stronger personalities, and you know exactly what I mean. I mean, how can you say that? You're ridiculous. And they personalize rather than having a face-to-face, point-by-point intelligent conversation. They just raise their voice and personalize. How can you say that? You're an idiot. And at the end, how do you know there aren't jurors on there that'll say, okay, we've been here for days. I want to go home. You're right. There's people that are like that won't stand up to a bully. So if bullies get on the jury and they prevail, and you're not going to weed out the bullies in voir dire. You're not going to, are you Mr. Number 12? Are you a bully? It's just,
well, it's like, even just like I have a class where we're doing a group project, and I'm always, as people watching this channel can imagine, the yapper of the group. So I'm usually assigned to be like the project manager. And one of the things with this particular class is that we're all among different majors. We have engineers, we have computer scientists, and we have business majors. And I have to I keep needing to stop and get every single person's opinion, because some members are very quiet and will get talked over. And I'm usually the person doing the talking over, but it's like, imagine taking all these people from different backgrounds who don't even necessarily want to work together. They don't even want to really be there. They were forced to go to jury duty.
Yeah. So getting back to this particular issue, I don't think that photograph means a damn thing. It really, we've seen a whole bunch of comments that have said it means this, it means that, it means the other. Nuh-uh, it doesn't mean squat. And I get back to the Rorschach test. They show the same 10, 12, 15 colored dots to a dozen different people, and they get a dozen different people. One person sees a lobster, another person sees a squirrel, and the psychologists come up with a profile based on that. But you put 12 people in a room, you don't know what's going to happen. So this case is all about the Idaho 4, Kaylee Gonsalves, Anna Gernodal, her boyfriend, Mr. Ethan Chapin, and Maddie Mogan, the four of them. Horrible crime. Their families obviously are waiting for justice, and we hope that comes. So speaking of commenters, speaking of crazy people, this YouTuber. Oh my
gosh.
So he's driving down a little back road up in New Hampshire, and I guess they stop him for going 55 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone. It's happened.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, you pull over, you take the heat, you get the ticket, you cuss.
They might not, depending where it is, they might not even give you a ticket too, because sometimes you get off a highway and all of a sudden it's 35. So sometimes, you can just say you got off the highway.
So
be nice.
So, this guy gets stopped and he decides, no, this guy is a big time YouTuber. He has almost 3 million. He has almost 3 million followers. And so what does he do? He stops, pretends he's going to stop for the police officer. The police officer approaches him. What does he do? He backs into the officer, hits him, injures him, puts him in the hospital, then speeds off in a high-speed chase. He speeds away, and they have to throw out the spike strips to stop this guy, Eric Van Conover, and they stop him. They take him to court, and what does he say? He starts saying, I'm a YouTuber. I have 3 million subscribers. And I'm like, really? Is that what you say in court? You use that as a defense in court?
I think if you ever get pulled over, I think you should start using that as something. That's like, honestly, I'm gonna be real. That's my biggest fear is getting pulled over and being recognized as a YouTuber. Imagine getting pulled over in Canton, Massachusetts. It's like, hey, you're Lady Law. Like, it's just like, this guy's out here. Don't you know who I think I am? Okay, sir.
I would like to think that, and we have a lot of followers in that area. We get a lot of comments from that area. I've gotten phone calls and texts from and emails from people in that area. I'd like to think that they've straightened themselves out down there, but I've been called naive before. So anyhow, the guy is stopped with the spike strips, and he ends up in court. And in New Hampshire, they have they're very smart. They don't waste their time putting people that are being held in a van and carting them off to court and, walking them in a perk walk with the shackles off. And they do it by video. So he was arraigned by video. And this is, I'm speechless. This is how not to present yourself in court. The first thing he said was the whole thing was bogus and phony and made up.
I have everything right here and it's all been falsified. If anyone dares try to test my mental competence, I will eviscerate every single person with my intelligence right now. And that's not being egotistical. Mom, thank God, look at me. I've been sober from alcohol for 1,558 days. So to press me on a DUI, I'm a public figure.
And so, yeah, he says he's a public figure, and he's a public figure because he has almost 3 million views on YouTube. And I'm just thinking to myself, why would you bring that up? So you go to court. And why don't you get an attorney, which apparently he did have an attorney, and I guess he didn't listen to the advice that I can only imagine that his attorney gave him to just don't say anything. So this happened in a little tiny village in New Hampshire, but here it is all the way in the Daily Mail talking about this famous YouTube star who was charged with the attempted murder of a police officer. That's the charge when you back into a police officer with your car. Eric Van Conover, 35, a content creator who shares luxury real estate properties with his nearly 3 million subscribers, was arrested March 15th after he allegedly mowed down New Hampshire Bartlett patrol officer Cameron Emmett during a routine traffic stop. I'd say it's pretty routine. Sure. If you stop for speeding, it's happened to me. I think, when I was a tad younger,
last year.
I got to know the cops that were on the speeding detail. Emmett was attempting to pull over Conover after he sped past him in his Jeep going 55 to 60 miles an hour in the 35 mile an hour zone on West Side Road. Bartlett police say Sergeant Brian Moffett said in court the Conway Sun reported after allegedly running over the officer and throwing him an estimated 20 to 40 feet. Conover continued to drive another 28 miles until he was officially pulled over and arrested. They used those spike strips. They showed it in that TV report. During his court hearing, Conover said the entire situation is just a massive misunderstanding, insisting that he is a public figure because of his large following online. I have everything right here, and it's all falsified, he said as he lifted up the police paperwork related to his case. If anyone dares to try and test my mental competence, I will eviscerate. Well, his mental competence had not even brought up.
It was like, sir, we just wanted you to slow down. We just wanted to let you know that you were going too fast. So you could have just said sorry. You could have just said sorry and not got a ticket.
Well, he's being held in the holding cell now because, he backed into a police officer and the charge is attempted murder. So, I mean, it could have all been taken care of quite simply if he had just rolled down the window and did what my father always told me to do. Yes, officer. And you don't want to have the the smart alecky tone of voice. You have to be sincere, show respect, talk to the officer. You're right. What you said before, a lot of times they'll let you off. I've actually, I shouldn't make these admissions on open YouTube. I've actually, had the officer talk to me, and I treated them with respect and said, yeah, I know. All right. Okay. All right. I did it.
That's how it should be. Like realistically, like the thing is like with speeding, like sometimes you don't realize the speed limit. It's okay. Maybe you are a little over if you're respectful. Like the police, in theory, in the perfect world, would want to just help us and make sure everything's in line. And in this situation where it turns out this guy is manic or has something going on where he did need to be stopped. These are the people that will get tickets and get fines and get arrested. But in our perfect world, which is not always the case because obviously bad things happen in the world, I'd like to believe in a world where you're accidentally speeding, the cop pulls you over, checks, makes sure everything's okay, reminds you of the speed limit, and you can go on your merry way.
And it can't happen. You get in the car, you're listening to music, or you're talking to your friend, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that it happens. I'm not
like
saying
Pony Club comes on.
I like to listen to my Metallica and my AC/DC, and you can get carried away when you listen to Van Halen at full blast. But anyhow, it happens. You're respectful to the officer. Oh, one thing I learned is you put your hands up on the steering wheel, because I remember one time I knew, from having had the experience before, I was reaching into my glove box to get the registration. No. Wait until they come to the door and they ask you for it, because this officer came to the door and he actually had his hand on his gun.
Oh my God.
Because he thought he didn't know me. He didn't know me. He figured I might be reaching in the glove box to grab a gun or something. No, I've never owned a gun. Not that it's wrong, but so yeah, the officer came to my window with his hand on his pistol. I'm like, oh God. I didn't think speeding was that bad. But anyhow, we're not condoning any of this. It's crazy. The content.
We all want to live in a safe world.
We do. The content creator insisted that police allegedly have the wrong person, as he told Magistrate Judge Mark Howard that he is from New York, not New Jersey, which the authorities claim.
Oh.
Yeah. If you live in New England, what's the difference?
Yeah. Just like I'm from Manhattan. I would never go to New Jersey.
I mean, half the people in Manhattan live in New Jersey. No, the other half live in Westchester County. So none of them live in New York. The incident started after we've been through all of this. I think we've pretty much, covered this. That's the patrol officer that this fellow backed over. The entire pursuit lasted 38 miles until Conover was stopped by state police officers who deployed spike strips on the road to stop him.
38 miles is crazy.
That's a long ways. Yeah.
Like 60 miles an hour. Oh my God.
It goes by fast. Yeah, there he is in one of his. He does a real estate YouTube, and he has. How do we get 3 million viewers?
Well, and that's like the scary thing is like, honestly, Andrew, give this like 30 more years and you might end up like this guy, because
30 years?
Well, he does real estate. These videos, like his genre of video in particular, gets like a high CPM. So like as much money, we don't really make a lot of money. We don't make money off of YouTube really, but like we still get ad revenue. This person was probably bringing in like hundreds of thousands, if not like almost $1 million a month in like ad revenue or something, because it was like all like about luxury videos and high-end stuff. And that's like, so I can imagine how this person would find themselves in a situation, because you get that much money, sometimes you don't use it appropriately.
During court, the prosecutor brought up that a YouTube star had been arrested just 4 days earlier on DUI charges, which he denied. But yeah, he had been stopped previously for DUI. And in the voice clip that we played, he was saying, I've been sober for XYZ days, so I couldn't have been stopped for DWI. Mm-hmm. Well, all right. I don't think the judge bought it, but there he is at a ball game enjoying himself. And I don't know. Yes, I actually watched a couple of his episodes before we did this. And yeah, he would go into these great, big, huge mansions, the upper class own. They're not regular homes. They're like, they're mansions. Conover has pleaded not guilty to all those charges. In addition to his DWI charge, he is also facing a reckless operation and open container.
Open container. I thought when I was thinking driving under the influence or whatever, I was thinking that maybe he was on like some other mind-altering substance. But again, that maybe he's like, oh, I don't drink alcohol, so I'm sober. But that also goes against that.
I think the open container charge is the least of his problem. And I'm not advocating an open container because it's illegal and it's not a good thing. We want, as you said, we want the roads to be safe. We don't want people, driving along, enjoying their adult beverage until they get home and they're not driving anymore. But I think the open container charge is probably the least of this man's trouble. So anyhow, I think we've beaten this story.
I don't know. I mean, you guys got to let us know what you think of it and what you think of us doing other topics in our comment videos and stuff like that. We normally, we stick to some topics, but this whole case, it was local and so crazy that kind of have to talk about it. And it's also really scary too when you look at his videos, because if you compare I didn't watch too much of his channel. But clicking his most popular videos, I saw that some of them were from a few years ago. You click it and it seemed kind of put together and organized. And then you watch the more recent videos and you can see it almost feels like it has a different author, a different mindset going through it. So it's chilling.
It is chilling. And so my closing thought is pretty obvious. You see those blue lights behind you? Stop. Stop. You don't run because you're not going to outrun them. You're just not. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Just be reasonable. I'm not going to say that all cops are polite and nice. Obviously we have some situations, but a lot of the times they want to be safe. You want to be safe. They are, you're just a normal person. It's okay to mess up sometimes. If you keep a level head, be respectful, you can hope for the best. You get a ticket. Even if you get a ticket, if you go to court, instead of just paying the fine, they're just going to dismiss your ticket anyway. Is it a pain in the ass? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say this is not legal advice, despite the speaker. This is coming from me, not Andrew. But just be nice, just be respectful. Try to contribute to a good society. Don't have open containers. Leave emojis down in the comments below.
And my closing thought is, if you do get pulled over, the last thing you want to do is say, do you know who I am? Whether you are in the grocery store, the gas station, or anywhere else, please remember to be kind to people. You don't know what they're going through. And the same goes for our comments section. We want you to comment, but be nice, be kind, be positive if you can. And thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Have a good one.